We are continuing with our study of the life of Sri Ramakrishna, one of the most authentic lives written by the great Swami Saradanandaji Maharaj. Translated in English as Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play by Swami Chetananandji. About the Janamuva. So, in the scriptures, it is recorded that before and after the children's birth, the parents of Rama, Krishna, and other incarnations had various spiritual visions. होना ही था, क्योंकि साधारण कोई व्यक्ति का तो जन्म नहीं हुआ. When the Lord himself comes down, assuming a human form, ऐसा विशेष रूप से आप भक्ति मार्ग में चलते हैं, आप द्वैत स्कूल के अनुसार चलते हैं. In all this make a great meaning and make a huge difference. So, इसलिए जब भगवान स्वयं मनुष्य रूप धारण करके आते हैं, वो साधारण कोई घटना नहीं है, उसके आगे पीछे बहुत कुछ घटता है. So it is recorded in the lives of Rama and Krishna and others. ऐसे बहुत कुछ पहले भी हुआ था, बाद में भी हुआ था. बहुत सारी उनकी अनुभूतियां भी. They had several spiritual visions. But इतना तक नहीं है. Although they were very sure that their sons were protected by a divine power, ये सब जानते थे. कोई इसे तो अचानक नहीं आया, पहले भी बताएं मैं ऐसे आ रहा हूं. और ये सब देख के जान के, obviously in their heart of heart they knew that these children were protected by God himself. श्री श्रीराम व चंद्रा देवी भी जानते थे, वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन फिर भी हमेशा है उनकी जैसे साधारण माता पिता की तरह वो भी सोचते रहते. That is the beauty of these divine incarnations in their childhood. इसलिए भगवान कहते हैं ना गीता में, देवी हेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्तया मामेवे प्रपद्यन्ते माया में ताम तरन्ति ते. सो भगवान की ऐसी माया शक्ति है, सबको मोहित कर देते हैं, खुद भी मोहित हो जाते हैं. संभवामी आत्म माया. नहीं तो बचपन से भगवान स्वयं आते तो बचपन से ऐसे भगवान की तरफ पूरा करना चाहिए. Then there won't be any beauty in that incarnation. That will be defeating all the laws of nature. Manitu Gada, that instead of walking, he starts flying, even from the age of 1. How it would look? Nobody would be able to relate to such a personality. See, actually, one of the greatest reasons for this kind of incarnation is to grow as any other human being. Now and then showing glimpses of their extraordinary spiritual teacher. जब कुछ समय आ जाते हैं, उसके बाद संपूर्ण रूप से एक बहुत बड़ा आध्यात्मिक महापुरुष बन जाते हैं. तो बचपन से ऐसे नहीं होता है. Even then, even at the height of his spiritual powers, particularly if you look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, there were very few instances where he had shown any tremendous, extraordinary, अलौकिक कोई शक्तियां उन्होंने दिखाई. Very, very rare. It was very deliberate. See, because he is clearly asked Swamiji also, मैं तुमको अष्ट सिद्धि दे सकता हूँ. Would you have it? Swamiji said, no. Will it help me realize God? नहीं, उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है, लेकिन आप भगवान लाभ करने के बाद बहुत सारा काम में आ सकता है. But he said, no, I don't want. Let me first realize God, then look to other things.
মহারাজ, I beg to be, মহারাজ আমাকে ক্ষমা করবেন, আমার পেজ নাম্বারটা একটু বলবেন?
না अरे তুমি দেখে আসবে পেজ নাম্বার এন্ড অল. ইউ ক্যানট বিচ মে জিজ্ঞেস করলে না, then it becomes disturbed. So next chapter, naturally 114. So you see the idea, these are all, when such personalities come, particularly in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, there was very little of the manifestation of any powers which are, you can call as magical powers or something alauki out of the world. So all that, of course, you get quite a lot of instances in the life of Sri Krishna. And also, each incarnation has a very particular purpose, a particular drift. Their life and messages, etc., are also arranged in particular way. That's why in Sri Ramakrishna's case, it was a very definite act on the part of the divine, not to show any of those such spiritual, alaukik shaktiya. So very rare, of course, we hear towards the end of his life when he was very, very sick in Kashipur. One day, the youngsters are all, they were about to, climb a palm tree for taking the juice. Then mother simply तीर गति से उन्होंने जाके उसे बहुत बड़ा एक विषाक्त सांप वहां ठहरे थे. He went and drove away that serpent, that poisonous snake, and came back and just. So mother suddenly she finds he is not there. वो तो चल नहीं पाते थे, ऊपर से खुद ही अपना शक्ति में उतरना संभव नहीं था. Still suddenly mother finds he is not there, and then after some time he is there. Oh, पहले कुछ नहीं बोलना चाहते थे. Then when mother pressed, then he said yes. The boys were about to go and drink that palm juice. I saw there's a very poisonous snake in the tree. I just threw it away and came back. So naturally, these instances are very, very rare, and they are not highlighted. That's why in the order also, anything alaukik, we completely, they are very discouraged and never, in fact, even visions, experiences, etc., are also not shared much with others and all that. Because they're all something very personal, and only the individual would know. What is the point in telling others? But of course, in the spiritual realm, she did miracles. How very ordinary people were converted into extraordinary people. For example, if you see on the Kalpataru days, so many people had such spiritual awakening. Unbelievable. On the same day, about 30 or 40 devotees or even more were assembled there, and practically excepting a couple, he touched each one of them. हर एक को छाती में उन्होंने जैसे स्पर्श किया, and each one of them felt an extraordinary spiritual awakening. Of course, normal people, who would want all these miracles? People are interested, आप कुछ बनाओ, कुछ चीज लेके आओ, some fruit or some jewels or some money. As these are the things people usually get attracted. But that's why, this incarnation itself is meant to attract only people who are spiritually inclined, जिनकी आध्यात्मिक जीवन की प्रति थोड़ा भी नजर है, वो सबको ठाकुर अट्रैक्ट करते. So deliberately all those were kept out. So he grew up like a very ordinary person, and then with the advancement of age, he started more and more revealing his extraordinary spiritual powers. For example, from a person like Latu was just virtually मेष पालक, बिल्कुल अनपढ़ा, अक्षराभ्यास भी नहीं हुआ था. And he was converted into one of the extraordinary saints. If you see Latuma's Smriti Katha, such books, the depth of his knowledge, his spiritual realization comes through those conversations. It's not कुछ कोई बोल दिया, ऐसा नहीं है. Those who have mixed closely with him knew that how spiritually elevated he was. Similarly, take the other case, person like Girish Ghosh was known for his bohemian ways. ऐसे व्यक्ति वो खुद ही बता रहे थे बाद में. If I had known there was such a, ऐसे कोई महापुरुष मेरे बाद में मिलेगा, मेरा जानता था, I would have done even the few bad things which I have left undone. He was such a person. But how he was completely converted. So these are the real miracles of Sri Ramakrishna, or spiritual miracles. So, coming back to this, they saw there a lot of this thing. Khudiram himself had a lot of, he had a great divine vision in Gaya, divine dream, and Chandra Devi had a vision in front of the Shiva temple. In spite of all that, they seem to forget. Forgetfulness, this is Maya. Make them forget that someone extraordinary is born in their house. They have to care for him like other ordinary child. इसलिए उनके लिए बहुत सारे उन्होंने प्लान करने लगे, ऐसा करूं वैसा करूं, कैसे उनका अच्छे से रखूं. सो ऐसे ही देखते देखते तो गरीब है बच्चा, की तो दूध की जरूरत है, कहाँ से ले आए, उन लोग को तो क्षमता नहीं था. अब पहले हम लोग देखें रामचंद्र करके एक मिदनापुर में somebody was a very rich nephew, वो उन्होंने एक गाय के लिए व्यवस्था कर दिया. So from that every day Gadadhar also used to get milk. So फिर भी इस एक बच्चा के लिए still there was no end to Khudiram's and Chandra Devi's anxiety. Thus time rolled on. Day by day, the newborn child's influence increased, first working on the parents and then slowly captivating the hearts of the village women. गांव की जितनी महिलाएं थे हमेशा अचानक वैसे वैसे आ जाते थे. चंद्रमणि जब पूछती थी, अरे why you are coming? No, just to see Gadadhar. We like him so much, we just want to see him. So they frequently, see, you can see this thing happening again, you know, the same play is being reenacted. जैसे when Sri Krishna was born, कैसे जो सारे गांव का महिलाएं आ जाते थे just to see the Gopala. They were so fond of him and he was such a darling of the whole village. वैसे ही कमारपुर में भी सब जैसे वैसे आ जाते थे. And if they ask why, we have come to see Gadadhar. We like him so much. So then इसके बीच में 5 महीने के बाद they were to have the अन्नप्राशन. So अन्नप्राशन तो करना है सबको. राम was such a धार्मिक ब्राह्मण थे. उन्होंने सोचा कुछ ऐसी जो पूजा वगैरह करके रघुवीर का कुछ ऐसे कोई अन्न भोग दे दूंगा. I will offer food to Raghuveer and quietly feed it to the child. लेकिन गांव में जो धर्मदास लाहा was a close friend of Shudiram. Obviously Laha was not a Brahmin, but you see how the relationships were so cordial. They used to respect. You see, those days there was a clear demarcation of caste, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, etc. But there was no animosity or hatred. Everybody knew that this is what I have to function. And I say, without the least hesitation, the people of other castes would call Brahmins to do puja, etc. in their house. They never think that we are inferior, we are calling somebody. Someone is qualified to do this kind of puja, we are calling him. So there is nothing like, for example, the Arandas Laha was far, far richer than Khudiram. Khudiram could not even afford milk to his son. But this Laha, they were very prosperous in the village. So there was no animosity. उन्होंने क्या किया, नहीं नहीं ऐसे छोटा मोटा होना ठीक नहीं है. Then he informed secretly all the Brahmins of the village, आप सब जाके बोलो, you go and tell Khudiram, हम लोग कोई फंक्शन में आएंगे, हम सब प्रसाद लेंगे. तो सब आ गए. एक दिन इस दिन होगा, पहले से बोल रहा हम लोग विल कम एंड हैव प्रसाद दैट डे. वो उनका तो इतना करने का क्षमता ही नहीं है. और उन्होंने फिर धर्मदास लाहा के पास ही किया. वो तो मित्र थे, ऐसे ऐसे बोल रहे मैं क्या करूं. उन्होंने तो पहले से तय करके रखा था. नो नो यू डोंट वरी, आई विल टेक केयर करके उन्होंने सारे व्यवस्था उन्होंने किया. इसलिए उस दिन तो पूजा वगैरह तो हुआ. एंड देन धूमधाम करके न विद ग्रेट जॉय the Annaprasan ceremony of Gadadhar was celebrated. They say those days something like all the castes of the village, not only the Brahmins, all the other castes of the village also came and very joyfully took part of the function of the prasad of Raghuveer. And they all left praying for Gadadhar's long life and his welfare. So ये सब सारे पैसे तो उन्होंने ही खर्च किया, धर्मदास लाहा. That's how it happened. So a lot number of people were fed that day. So this was happening as days went by. every little act of Godadhar appeared even sweeter to Chandra Devi, filling her heart with joy and awe. एक तरह तो बहुत ही खुशी थी, but same time there's always something, because it's not an easy job to rear God incarnated as child in your home. So there's always some apprehension, कुछ हो जाए कुछ ना हो जाए ऐसे ऐसे. So previously, she never used to ask anything from gods. जब प्रार्थना करती थी, she never used to ask. अभी हमेशा रघुवीर की चरणों में ही प्रार्थना करने लगी. Please protect Gadadhar. Please protect Gadadhar. Please take care of him. Constantly, she was asking them, and also she was fully preoccupied with his care and well-being. And those concerned eclipsed her divine visions. मान लीजिए, if she had really known that जुगेश शिव मंदिर से जो आलो निकला था, that light has entered into me, and also coupled with Shudiram's dreams at Gaya, she must know that it's not so I don't have to worry, it's God's design. But yet, she was constantly worried and should constantly pray so that nothing happens to him. So when he was 7 or 8 months old, एक बार वो दूध पीते पीते नींद में चले गए. Then Chandramani put him to bed, and then after dropping the mosquito curtain, etc., she went to attend to her work. And after some time, then when she came back to the room, she saw a tall and strange person lying in the place of her child. जहाँ वो बच्चा सोए थे, उस जगह में कोई लंबा ऐसे कोई व्यक्ति वहां सोए. So obviously, she was simply aghast with anxiety, and she cried out, and she called Shudiram, अब आ जाओ, या क्या हो रहा है? Then she came, she explained everything. When both of them went into the room, they saw only Gadadhar was sleeping. So, she said, an evil spirit must have possessed him. उनको तो नॉर्मली उनका ऐसे कोई भूत कोई पकड़ा है. So I clearly saw a large person lying in place of my son. In no way was it, ऐसे नहीं है मैं कुछ मेरा भ्रमित होके देखा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, मैं अपना आंख से देखा. There is no possibility it was a delusion. Please bring an exorcist. कोई ऐसे कोई तंत्र मंत्र जानने वाले लेके आओ, उसके भूत चढ़वाना है. So, but Shri Ram reassured, saying that we have been blessed with divine visions पहले भी, इसलिए अभी भी बीच बीच में ऐसे तुम देख पाओगे. It's not an ordinary thing. Actually, this is how again, God not only reveals himself, makes them also be grounded on earth. It is not possible for such couple to simply abrogate all their duties and keep quiet, thinking that God will take care. No. जैसे बच्चे की तरह बहुत ही सोच रहे थे, उसकी जगह में ऐसे कोई लंबा कोई सोए हुए. God knows what was the purpose, because all these visions, even later on in Thakur's life, so many visions, it's not possible to explain all of them from our standpoint of view. ऐसे क्यों रहा है? What happened? Anyway, Shri Ram said that as Raghuveer himself dwells in her house, no spirit can come here to do any harm to the child. Therefore, तुम निश्चिंत रहो और इसके बारे में किसी को मत बताओ. Because all these, how others will understand. Because only these two people knew. They were only informed beforehand by God himself that he is going to be born in their house. So obviously, बोलना ये सब दूसरी की मत बोलो, but चुपचाप रहो. लेकिन she was not pacified. Her mind was not fully relieved. So उस दिन ज्यादा लंबा समय तक वो रघुवीर की चरणों में प्रार्थना निवेदन किया, so that the child is protected and he does not come to any harm. So the parents of Gadadhar passed their days in joy and excitement, fervor and anxiety. From the beginning, the little child exerted a sweet and loving influence on his parents as well as others. And this influence increased and became more established. So, 4-5 साल निकल गया, उसके बीच में Kuiram also, the youngest daughter, Sarmangala, is also born in 1839. So, खुदराम खुद ही पढ़ाते थे अपना गोद में बिठा के. He would repeat the names of his ancestors, short hymns and salutation mantras, pranam mantra विभिन्न देव देवियां का, और स्टोरीज फ्रॉम रामायण एंड महाभारत. लेकिन बाद में सब उनका परीक्षा लेते थे. परीक्षा मीन्स आस्किंग हिम टू रिपीट. He found that he had virtually got everything by heart. एक बार सुनने में भी, इसके तो शास्त्र में they use a term called श्रुतिधर. एक बार सुनने में पूरा याद रहना. Many of us have to, even if we receive sometimes we are 10 times also we can't remember. No, कल इतनी बार बोला, आज पूछने में अरे क्या बोला तो दूसरी बार. Because the mind is so pure, so uncontaminated. इसमें कोई कुछ भी नहीं है. So that whatever is given, immediately it catches. So वो तो अच्छी चीजें दे रहे थे. He was teaching him the pranam mantras, etc. Everything he could repeat without faltering. The same time, Shriram discovered, although he was eager, बहुत कुछ सीखने का, पढ़ने का उसका बहुत ही उत्साह था, लेकिन जितने भी बताएं, he could not make him interested in certain things. कुछ चीज जितनी बार बोलते थे, he would never pay any attention. Khudiram discovered this while teaching Gadadhar. The multiplication table, he was not willing to learn. अंक में क्या है? Actually, there is a spiritual dimension to this. See, Anka means calculation. Calculation means विषय बुद्धि. कौन calculate कौन करते हैं? Only those with a worldly bent of mind. यही होगा, इससे ही होगा, इससे होगा, इससे होगा, इतना बढ़ेगा, इतना आएगा, यहाँ ये कर रही है, वहाँ ये कर रहे हैं. So any calculation itself means it's really, it's not spontaneity. आध्यात्मिक लाइफ में जिन्होंने आगे बढ़ा, that's why when you say, you truly see a Mahapurush, you'll find such a person spontaneous. सोच समझ के इससे क्या होगा, उससे क्या हुआ, इसके बोलना ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं ठीक है. They never think like that. Spontaneously, whatever comes, because the mind is so pure, it cannot calculate. इसके क्या असर है, किसका गुस्सा आ जाएगा इसमें, whether they will misunderstand me, is it proper? No. Whatever comes to such a mind, such a pure mind, they spontaneously express. So Gadadhar was very, very clear. He could never ever calculate. Calculation means Vishaya Buddhi. Calculation means Sansaric Buddhi. Of course, संसार में रहने वाले को करना ही पड़ता है. There is no harm. If you are in the world, can you not, supposing you are getting say 50,000 rupees per month, can you recklessly spend all the money without thinking within 4 or 5 days and beg from others? No. Worldly people, those who are in the sansar, definitely have to take care, have to calculate, have to do. But he was God himself. सारे संसार उनके लिए, किसके लिए वो calculate करेगा? The person who is responsible for the entire world, would he ever calculate? So obviously calculation was something he would never pay his head. जितने भी प्रयास किया, otherwise he was so brilliant, so intelligent. एक बार सुनने में उनको याद आ जाता था. But calculation, however much he was trying to teach him the tables, he would simply not learn. So he anyway सोचा, अरे बच्चा है, let us not force him like that. Then afterwards he will learn. And simply he left him. So at the age of 5, he was Vidyarambha. Vidyarambha में कुछ rituals function होता है. See, remember, every act, imagine the way it all used to be observed in our tradition. कहाँ सब चला गया? Anything, a child being born is not just a biological event, biological birth. इवन साधारण घर पे भी तो भगवान छोड़ दीजिए, इवन इन नॉर्मल हाउस देयर यूज्ड टू बी such an important occasion. They used to have a huge families, no doubt. But then, from the time somebody is carrying a child, then they will pay special attention. The would-be mother will be constantly engaged in prayers and other this thing. The whole thing was different. Even the birth will be announced by the blowing of Shanka, etc. And every then immediately अन्नप्राशन 4-5 minutes पहले वो एक रिचुअल है, then विद्यारंभ वो भी है, then उपनयन. Every ceremony would again and again remind the child or the person concerned about the spiritual aspect of life. तुमने जन्म लिया ऐसा नहीं सिर्फ भोग करने के लिए बा ऐसा रहने के लिए, तुम्हारी जन्म अंत तक एक आध्यात्मिक यात्रा है. So everything used to be considered as a spiritual journey, and everything used to be stage by stage. That is how they will take the child through all that. So again, विद्यारंभ के लिए कुछ उन्होंने किया. Then he was sent to a school. गांव में जो लाहास वो चलाते थे सारे गांव के सुविधा के लिए, for the benefit of the entire village, they had started a small school and they had also engaged a teacher. So Gadadhar also happily went to the school and along with others, and naturally they were very naturally was extremely popular with all the other students in the class, etc. And then so I see somewhere in this book they have published a picture of what a long poem which Ramakrishna have copied by hand. इतनी सुंदर उनके हस्ताक्षर is the letters are so beautiful, but somehow he never paid attention to all this. So this close to it was very near to Shriram's house. Subh morning to evening, there was 2 sessions. The younger children, smaller children would study in the morning, but then they have to stay till the end of the school. They'll be आस-पास घूमते थे, वहाँ खेलते थे. But the other senior students have to attend both the sessions, and then they would also see whether the youngsters have learned properly, younger children. Although there was only one teacher, the activity of the school proceeded smoothly. Ekalaya Vidyalaya ki tarah. Only one teacher, he would teach all subjects maybe. And Gadadhar was first admitted. Jadunath Sarkar was a teacher. Then afterwards, Rajendranath Sarkar became. So, the wonderful dreams and visions that Sri Ram had experienced before Gadadhar's birth, as a sign of his great life to come, left a permanent impression on Khudiram's mind. क्योंकि उनका जो स्वप्न में जो दर्शन उनको मिला था, he was fully convinced that this person is something very extraordinary. So whenever he saw Gadadhar display childlike and naughty behavior, he disciplined him mildly. समेत की तरह तो पिटाई खूब सहज था those days. But because when you remember someone is very extraordinary, how would you chastise that child? बहुत ही हल्का से उसका कुछ ऐसे ही would scold him or rebuking very mildly, because he would remember this is not an ordinary child. Either because the boy enjoyed too much attention or because of his inherent nature, Shriram occasionally observed signs of willfulness in his son. Jedi, जो पकड़ता है तो करता है. You will not be. And also not only that, वो इधर उधर चले जाते थे जहाँ यात्रा होता था, यात्रा परफॉर्मेंस, वो यात्रा कहते हैं. So he would go and naturally he enjoyed a lot of freedom, and but they always used to observe anything he started, he will not stop till it is finished. अंत तक करते थे, बीच में कोई नहीं छोड़ते थे. And also he would never try to concede. जो भी किया सीधा आके बोलते थे, ये नहीं किया, नहीं किया, अच्छा बुरा है आप बोलो. There was, because these are all the traits, small indications. of his great truthfulness, which became a hallmark of his life later on. सत्यनिष्ठा उनका बचपन से used to see he would never tell lie. साधारण बच्चे लोग ना कुछ गलती करके तुरंत झूठ बोल देते हैं out of fear, but he was absolutely fearless and he would clearly say मैंने ऐसे किया ऐसा किया. He would not hesitate to say that he had done something that is right or wrong. And then of course Shudiram was concerned about one thing. किसी ने उनकी जबरदस्ती बोला ये मत करो, वो जरूर करेगा ही करेगा. Unless you convince him with reasons why it should not be done, he would not obey. Why he will not? If he is not to be, if he is to be told not to do something, he has to be given reasons. So anyway, others भविष्य में उसका दिक्कत हो सकता है, ऐसे ऐसे Shudiram was thinking, but then Gadadhar did not care. So in this Haldar Pukur, which is a pond very famous in Kamar Pukur, आज भी है. So the villagers used to clean the pure water for drinking, cooking, bathing, सबके लिए बहुत बड़ा तालाब है. They would use for everything. There were 2 bathing gods, one for men and one for women. कभी कभी बच्चे लोग, लड़का लोग भी जो महिलाएं घाट से वहां जाके स्नान करते. They would take bath in the ghat meant for women, but nobody would mind. They were very small children. One day Gadadhar और उसके मित्रों के साथ वहां जाके स्नान कर रहा था. Naturally they were disturbing, they were swimming and they were splashing water. वहां से महिलाएं जो कई बार अभी भी गांव में स्नान करके कुछ प्रार्थना करते थे, वहां in that place itself they would chant something. So some disturbed feel हो रहे थे. उन्होंने डांटा, अरे तुम्हारा शर्म नहीं है? Why do you come to here for the women's god? अब वहां जाके स्नान करो. Don't you know it is bad? Here women wash their clothes after bathing. Don't you know it is bad for you if you watch when women change their clothes? कहता क्या है इसमें, क्या है? और वो तो कुछ नहीं बोला, सिर्फ डांटने लगे. और explaining the reason that he could understand, seeing that the women were irritated, boys settled down. कुछ नहीं बोला, लेकिन गदार तो छोड़ने वाला नहीं है. So he wanted to try an experiment. 2-3 दिन वो पेड़ के पीछे खुद को छिपा के वो तालाब में कौन कौन स्नान कर रहे हैं महिलाएं घाट से, वो पूरा देख रहे थे. सो उसके बाद उन्होंने सीधा जो पिछले दिन द लेडी वर स्कोल्डेड हिम, उनके पास गया. मैं तो 2 दिन सब कल 4 महिलाएं स्नान करना देखा, उसके अगले दिन 6, आज 2, इतना करके सब बोलने लगे. मेरा तो कुछ बुरा नहीं हुआ. Naturally the ladies, they laughingly went and told Chandra Devi, यही तुम्हारा लड़का कर रहा है. खुद ही आके हम लोग को बता भी रहे. Not only he did, he came and told us. Later on, while they were resting, Chandra Devi told Gadadhar in a convincing way, देखो वो she जानती थी. देखो, it is true that nothing bad will happen if we watch the women bathing, but they will feel humiliated. वो खुद का बहुत ही उनका एक ऐसे कोई आघात पहुंचाना, make them feel humiliated, small, अपना की को बहुत ही अस्वस्थ बोध करेंगे. They are like me. If you dishonor them, it is the same as dishonoring me. उन लोगों के जो आप अपमान करते हो तो मेरे करना समान है. जब ऐसे बोला, in future, don't be disrespectful towards them. Is it good to hurt them as well as me? बस उस दिन से वो कुछ भी नहीं करते थे और कभी भी नहीं किया. अभी देखो उनका तो समझाया, what is it in this thing? हाँ, तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं है, but they will feel bad, they will feel humiliated, they will feel ashamed. ये तो ठीक नहीं है. और मैं भी तो एक महिला हूँ. And dishonoring them is dishonoring me. जब बोला, अपना माँ की इतनी वो प्यार करते थे, simply he, from that day, he never did that again. So Gadadhar made fair progress in school. He was able to read and write very soon, but his aversion for arithmetic remained. अंक छोड़ के बाकी सब में वो बहुत ही day by day his ability to imitate others and his ingenuity extended to many new areas. वो तो बहुत ही शरारती तो थे जरूर. So he would imitate, mimicry, इसकी तरह उसकी तरह सबको दिखाना सुनाना. So everybody used to roar in laughter. Vedada began to visit the village sculptors and watch them make images of gods and goddesses. वो देख देखते ऐसा सीख लिया, अपना घर पे बहुत सुंदर बनाते थे. This became one of his hobbies. In fact, this is what attracted Mathur Babu to him. उन्होंने एक ऐसे शिव जी का मूर्ति बनाया था दक्षिणेश्वर में. Simply, Mathur Babu was stunned. If a person make such an image of God Shiva, is immediately he was a gunda the. He was a gunda and badmash zamindar. Lekin he understood immediately about this person's spiritual eminence and he said, नहीं, वो पूजा करेगी तो माँ जग जाएगी. The mother would become living. That was Mathurnath's Vishwas. So he was doing, and then when there was any exposition of the Puranas or Yatra in the village, he attended and learned about all the Puranas. She also carefully observed the type of presentation that most appealed to the audience. कैसे उनका कौन-सा पसंद आता है. His extraordinary memory and intelligence helped him in these pursuits. उनका इतना स्मृति शक्ति. So naturally, in future also, they would ask him. Every now and then he would answer about from scriptures, from other things. Where कब पढ़ा? पढ़ा नहीं. जैसे एक बार सुना तो याद रह गया. So many times in future he would even give references from very important scriptures in other places. On one hand, from an early age, the ever cheerful Gadadhar developed a sense of humor and fantastic skills of imitation. They began to mimic the peculiar gestures of both men and women. On the other, his natural simplicity and devotion to God and the ideal examples of his parents' day-to-day activities helped him to make rapid progress in life. Even in later years, Sri Ramakrishna always remembered and acknowledged his indebtedness to his parents with gratitude. So, actually, that is why, the parents are the first point of learning. Children always imitate parents. They would like to be like their parents. So, they are their first and foremost role models. So, because of course he was very gifted with his extraordinary power of memory, etc. But बचपन से ऐसे कोई माता पिता के साथ रहने में obviously he would progress in the right direction in life. बाद में भी हमेशा स्वीकार करते थे कैसे उनकी माता पिता का एक इन्फ्लुएंस अपना जीवन में कैसे उन काम किया. The reader will understand this from the following account he gave us at Dakshineshwar. My mother was an embodiment of simplicity. She was not worldly wise at all. She did not even know how to count money. She was not clever enough to keep confidences with witnesses. कोई किसी को बोला, किसी को मत बोलो, किसी छुपा के रखना, सब नहीं आता था. बहुत सरल, सहज सरल थी. So she was so popular. So some of these qualities Ramakrishna also inherited. Till the end he was always सहज सरल. मान लीजिए इतना ही है, कहाँ हम कल ही ना कहाँ ही करते थे. They had gone somewhere for a function in Brahma Samaj में कहाँ बुलाए हैं उसका. So naturally he was they had gone for that function. The father who had passed away, the children had arranged, the sons. And when they went there, सारा सब हुआ, व्यवस्था हो गया, सब हो गया. अभी प्रसाद के समय. So naturally the sons were busy inviting all important people. जो धनी धनी लोग जो आए थे, उनके सब बुलाना खिलाना इसमें व्यस्त थे. No one was even calling ठाकुर and राखाल. So एक कोने में बिठाया उन लोग के. बहुत जगह भी अच्छा नहीं था, परिष्कार नहीं था, और किसी तरह एक कुछ परोस रहे हैं, वो भी उनका अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. But still he was very सहज and सरल. राखाल से नहीं, let us go. अरे अरे ऐसे जाओ जाने की बात करने में क्या फायदा है. Where will you go and eat now? रात हो गया. So he was Saral, but same time extremely practical and straightforward. So, जैसे भी हो, we have to manage whatever it is we have come. Let us go through that. Of course, the real intention was that he knew that if he goes away without taking, the person who arranged will be put to great harm. ऐसे भी महापुरुष के बुला के बिना खिलाना भेजना कितनी क्षति उनका होता था. That is why he was very compassionate and considerate, and he did not come away. But then, no, the qualities which he talks about several times, he would say, इसमें बोलने में क्या है, बाद में भी. They would some of those of course some of his disciples were from the modern world, and they were from, some of them were even from aristocratic families and things like that. But would always say, sometimes, when Raka had asked something, and then he was hungry, and I think somebody will go thus here, somebody had, oh अच्छा अच्छा आ गया, क्या लिया है, राखाल का भूख लग गया ले आओ. अरे ऐसे, why do you tell in front of everybody? बोला अरे तुम्हारा, you are hungry, इसमें शर्म क्या है, शुदा है तो लेना है कुछ. So he was always like that. You would never understand why people are trying to hide, why people are trying to say this, that. It's never entered his mind. He would simply say. That is why people used to call her like loosely, "लो रख नहीं पाएगी, इसलिए मत बोलो उसका." He was fond of feeding people. My father never accepted gifts from the laboring class, etc. He spent most of his day in worship, japa, and meditation. सारा दिन प्रार्थना, जप, ध्यान, उपासना, इसमें समय बिताता था. तो ये काम तो कुछ नहीं है. He was only, he rarely used to go for some officiating as priest, etc. in very special cases. साधारण जैसे वैसे बुलाने में नहीं जाते थे. So whole day he not have much of work. But if one might not have work, but the way he used to spend his time, whole day he would spend in prayer, upasana, meditation, etc. So while practicing his daily spiritual disciplines, when you recite the Gayatri mantra, Ayat Varade Devi, etc., do thou reveal to me, O goddess Gayatri, the giver of boons. And so his chest would swell and turn crimson. Chati ekdam lal ho jata tha. This is one sign of, some spiritual upsurge. This is one of the indications. किसी ने जप करते करते ऐसे, so full of, the chest becomes crimson red. They say it's because of some spiritual upsurge happening. When he was not engaged in worship, he would spend time making flower garlands with needle and thread to decorate Raghuvi. He left his parental home because he refused to give false testimony. The villagers loved and respected him as a rishi. ऋषि मानते थे. वो स्नान करने में आते थे, सब रास्ता में दो धार सब खड़ा हो जाते थे. वो उनके स्नान करने के पहले तालाब में कोई नहीं उतरते थे. Only after the ghost they will enter. That kind of respect to the whole village. Gadadhar's indomitable courage manifested itself day by day. The boy would fearlessly go to places that older people avoided out of fear and ghosts, etc. As a smashan vagere jaga. See, mainly because I think he was always, from a young age, seeking that nirjanata. कोई ही नहीं, ऐसे जगह में कोई नहीं जाते थे, वो जाके चुपचाप बैठ जाता था. Because he was always, seeking that kind of solitude, even from a very young age. His aunt Ramshila was sometimes possessed by goddess Shitala. उस समय ये भी कई जगह पे मानते हैं उसके ऊपर भगवान और भगवती कोई बर किया, उसकी चढ़ा, ऐसे ऐसे बोल देते थे. And then whatever they say, people will listen and they will be respected and so on. In those times, she seemed to become a different person. Once, while visiting her brother at Kamarpur, because she was Shridiram's sister, she suddenly experienced a divine mood, creating awe and devotion in the minds of family members. उस समय तो उन लोग ना एक संपूर्ण अलग तरीके व्यवहार करते थे. So those who saw would be On one hand, there will be devotion, and they will also be kind of frightened. But Gadadhar, उनका कुछ भी नहीं था. He was always, श्रद्धा तो मन में रहा, लेकिन he was not afraid. He stayed with her all the time and observed the change that had come over. कि क्या हुआ सब देख रहे थे. बाद में बोला, अरे कितना अच्छा होता था, उनका जो पकड़ा है मेरे पकड़ते थे. If I had been possessed by that, how nice it had been. So Manika Raja, about him तो पहले हम लोग थोड़ा सुने. He was a very generous and devoted landlord of the Varsubo village, which was just 1 mile north of Kamarpukur. Attracted by Sri Ram's pious nature, Manik Raja established a friendly relationship with him. उनके साथ बहुत ही उनकी मित्रता हो गया. एक दिन 6 साल की उम्र गदाधर का, उनका पिताजी उनका श्री राम उनका भी लेके मणिक राज के पास गया. सो उनका इतना जो मधुर व्यवहार देखे सब मोहित हो गए. सो एवरीबडी सेड दैट, उनके मणिक राजा के भाई ने बोला, श्री राम, योर सन इज नॉट एन ऑर्डिनरी चाइल्ड. He seems to be greatly endowed with divine qualities. Whenever you come here, please bring your son with you. Seeing him brings me real joy. साधारण लोग के देखने में कोई somebody who is a well-wisher, who does something good to us, we feel happy, no? Whenever we see such people. But God is a well-wisher for the entire world. So obviously, जिसकी मन में थोड़ा भी भगवान के प्रति भक्ति श्रद्धा हो, such people will always welcome. See, normally whom we welcome? Those who are nice to us, those who help us, those who are always talk sweetly to us. But Lord is a well-wisher of and the protector of the entire world. Naturally, wherever he goes, he would create an atmosphere of joy and happiness. So बोला आप हमेशा के लिए क्या? So if Sri Ram did not go for some days, and Manik Raja will send somebody to bring Gadadhar. एक बार ऐसे उनके कोई आके महिला आके ले गया. दिन भर सुबह से शाम तक ही स्टेड इन मणिक राजा's place, और वापस आते से बहुत सारा उनकी गिफ्ट दिया, ज्वेलरी, स्वीट्स सब लेके वापस आएंगे. So he became so favorite, such a favorite with them. कुछ दिन जब भी कुछ दिन श्री राम जा नहीं पाया, immediately they will send somebody to take him. So इस समय धीरे धीरे गदाधर का 7 साल उम्र हो गया. सारे गांव में सबको बहुत ही प्यार करते थे. Whenever the village women cooked any delicacies at home, they would think of feeding Gadadhar the first portion, अग्रभाग. ये भोग का नियम ही है. अब भगवान की आप कोई बनाते हैं भगवान के लिए, कुछ कारण में कोई बच्चा के लिए कुछ देना पड़ता है, तो पहले अग्रभाग उठा के भोग के लिए रखते थे भगवान. Then you can use the rest. So they also will always keep something. The neighbors were so moved by sweet talk, singing and behavior. They cheerfully put up with his childish pranks. बहुत ही वो शरारती थे, no doubt. As a boy, he was very full of charm, vigor and mischievous. But they would सब सहन करते. At this time, an incident made his parents and friends very concerned about him. By God's grace, Gadadhar was born with a healthy and strong body, and at this time had not had any particular illness. वैसे बहुत ही उनका स्वास्थ्य अच्छा था बचपन से. So there was nothing to worry. But then, consequently, Gadadhar enjoyed his life with freedom and contentment like a bird on the wing. Well-known physicians have said that lack of body consciousness is a sign of perfect health. आपके शरीर के बारे में सोचना ही नहीं पड़ता है, then that means you are healthy. Because हम लोग को तो थोड़ा भी इधर उधर छोटी भी कुछ दर्द हो तो or something, immediately you always keep thinking about the body only. So if somebody is not reminded of the body at all, that means such a person is certainly keeping good health. So, however, when his naturally one-pointed mind was observed in a particular object, he would become completely identified with it, almost losing body consciousness altogether. वो कोई ऐसे कोई किसी के उनको लग गया नजर, something, he'll be so absorbed, he'll completely forget his body, totally absorbed in what he was doing. One day, उन्होंने देखा the enchanting scenery of a vast green field undulating in the gentle breeze, the incessant flows of the river, the meticulous songs of the birds, and above all the magical kingdom of ever-changing clouds in the sky attracted his mind. ऐसा जो प्राकृतिक दृश्य जितना था सब उनको खींचता था, and it always be lost in their mystery and beauty. Its mystical glory became manifest to the boy and became instantly immersed in the realm, forgetting himself. So, the following incident arose from his overflowing spiritual emotion. The master himself told us this incident. ठाकुर ने खुद ही कहा, once while roaming through a field, Gadadhar saw a beautiful black cloud heavy with rain. Against it flew a flock of cranes rhythmically spreading their white wings. काले मेघ, घन मेघ, उसके सामने से एक पक्षियां, the cranes, बहुत सारे एक साथ जा रहे हैं उड़ के. He was so captivated with this sight, the contrast, ये सादा सफेद और कालो की जो contrast. He was captivated with this sight, and he completely lost awareness of his body and the objects of this world, and fell unconscious on a ridge in the field. ऐसे ही देख के इतनी मोहित हो गए, भावस्थ हो गए, उन्हें मूर्छा होके गिर पड़े. His friends were frightened and helpless when they found him in that condition. वो तो क्या करें, ऐसे ही मूर्छा हो गया, उसका क्या करें? They informed his parents, and his body was carried home. Sometime after regaining outer consciousness, Gadadhar felt normally. कुछ समय की बात वो स्वाभाविक हो गए, लेकिन Khudiram and Chandra were naturally very concerned, and they devised various means to ensure it would not happen again. दोबारा नहीं हो, ऐसा कुछ व्यवस्था करने के लिए सोच रहे हैं. और उन लोग सोच रहे थे epileptic fits सोच रहे थे. That's what ordinary people will think. Suddenly had an attack of fits. So उन लोग ऐसे बहुत सारा उन्होंने शांति स्वस्थ नित्य इत्यादि कुछ रिचुअलिस्टिक वर्शिप्स कुछ अरेंज किया, so that उनका कुछ नहीं होता है. Actually, Gadadhar repeatedly told them it was not any fits or anything, becoming immersed in a new and amazing feeling, contrary to outward appearance, had indeed been conscious and had experienced wonderful bliss. बोला बाहर की दूसरी लोग की दृष्टि में मैं बेहोश था, लेकिन अंदर ही अंदर I was fully conscious and I was enjoying a great bliss. See, that's what knows Ramchandra. So later on, you'd always used to say, कोई अद्वैत की बारे में बता दे, मोती झील में देखो कैसे मीनों कैसे तैरते हैं. How imagine the fish swimming. Can you imagine like that? You say that. Imagine that you are swimming in the ocean of Sachidananda. Can you ever imagine that when you go to a pond when fish are swimming, you also like to see, but to be reminded of such an extraordinary idea that it represents the soul swimming in Sachidananda Sagar, something extraordinary. Similarly, this contrast, many would be attracted when you see a thick cloud and the backdrop of which lot of cranes flying. We also would like to see. But what all happened in his mind, we do not know. Nowhere it is explained. But there was a great spiritual upsurge. He was so much overpowered by that sight that he completely lost outer consciousness. But inwardly, he was fully conscious. And he says, I was enjoying great bliss. Probably know the beauty of God's creation. Although he would not have exactly reasoned it as God और भगवान का सृष्टि है, ऐसे भी नहीं किया, ऐसे कोई विचार नहीं किया हो सकता है. Because he was endowed with such, basically he was so spiritual and so pure Spontaneously, when he saw such a sight, that triggered that reaction in his mind. The beauty of God's creation, where against the backdrop of clouds, a, a crowd of, a number of swans flying together, the contrast. ऐसे क्या क्या उनका मन में जगाया. The contrast in God's creation, the utter dark on one side, the utter the wonderful whiteness in contrast to that. Again, that is what we see in this world. If we relate creation, God's creation, what we see most in this world, the contrast, rich versus poor, the high versus low. Everywhere, the most striking feature of all creation is the contrast of two distinct colors like black and white. So probably, unconsciously, it is not that he went into all that, he discussed that in his mind, ऐसे कोई विचार किया, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. The moment he saw, spontaneously the contrast in creation, प्रकृति में जो दिखाई दे रहा है, भगवान की जो सृष्टि में जो the contrast, दोनों का, it spontaneously he felt, and he felt totally consumed by that vision, by that what he saw, and that is what resulted in such a extraordinary feeling. So he did not अगर again दोबारा नहीं हुआ, he seemed to be all right. सब सोच के अच्छा अच्छा सब कुछ नहीं है तो ठीक हो गया. However, Chandra was convinced that an evil spirit has cast. उन्हें हमेशा ऐसी सोचती थी कोई उनका कोई ऐसे कोई उसका नजर डाला, कोई evil spirit. So कुछ दिन वो स्कूल जाना बंद कर दिया था. तो फिर भी ज्यादा मजा है स्कूल नहीं जाने में. He always used to carefree. Gadadhar began to visit the neighbors, roam around the villages, and devote himself to more and more fun and play. Very interesting. Slowly, our thing is also picking up because the more and more you dwell deeper into the beauty of his childhood days, it's extremely nice and sweet to even read and reminisce about it. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Paramastu.